Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's time for another match review. Celtic 2, St Mirren 0. We're still top of the league. It's time to break down everything from that game there. An up and down performance, you can say. However, we're still up in terms of the league title because we're 3 points clear, still at the top of the table. And deep down, I think we all know that's what matters most. Right then, make sure to go down below and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Yes, ignore this spot right there, slap bang in the centre of the skull. Honestly, couldn't ask for it to be in a worse place, but here we are. Celtic 2, St Mirren 0, a performance that I think was testing of the patience. I think a lot of us in the stadium felt the exact same way come half-time. There was a lot of anxiety to the fact we still didn't have a goal. We were seeing a lot of the same sort of traits from the last few performances, lethargic in certain phases of play, lacking in the final third, and just lacking of overall, I think, creativity and certainly urgency. That seemed to be the occurring theme for portions of that first half. So I think we all felt the same way in that sense. However, it was a good second half from Celtic. They picked themselves up. They managed to go out there and get the 2 goals and ultimately win the game. And you know, it was vital for us to win, but also get, you know, positives in the performance. Not just with the run of games coming up, but to try and put this sort of, I don't want to say bad run behind us, because it's not been a bad run by any stretch of the imagination. We've been winning games. We're still top of the table. The form will go to show that at the end of the day. However, when it comes to the performances on the park, they have slipped a little bit. They haven't been the same standards that we've got used to this season. So I think the most important thing today was to get a performance that left us all leaving the stadium feeling optimistic and feeling confident of our position in the table. 3 points clear with nothing to really worry about. And I think the second half really done that. It was a lot of comfort in the second half, getting those 2 goals, seeing a lot more of I think an optimistic approach to the game. But you know, it still is one of those games. There will be question marks raised over certain performances, certain phases of play. But I think they'll come to get used to that over the past few games, especially with it being so close at the top. That comes with the pressure. I think that we all sort of feel that now. As supporters, you know, for years gone by now, we've been used to, you know, running away with league titles, not so much last season, but, you know, we've been used to running away with league titles. We've been used to probably having a lot of the pressure taken off us, that the performances at times, we could get away with it. But now, because it is so close, now because it's a proper title race to probably the very end, it gets so anxious in those games, and we do start to raise questions over the smallest of things. It's natural as football supporters to do that. We are reactionary, and we do have questions to ask. But a lot of them were answered in that second half, and ultimately, I'm just happy we got the 3 points at the end. So let's go back to the start then, do what we normally do, talk about both halves in a bit more detail. First half, as I said, it left a lot to be desired. We didn't look interested again, and it was the same sort of similar 45 minutes to every game we've seen. And I remember speaking to someone at half-time, shout out if it's yourself, never caught your name, and it says, you know, what's happening here? You know, it's been the same as the last 4 or 5 games, and I think that was the vibe going around the stadium, going into half-time. We weren't as happy as what we should be. However, we definitely showed signs of improvement, I think. You know, over the past few games, I think we've been lacking total creativity in the first half. We certainly did try. However, the same issues keep occurring to me. And I keep seeing it. We're going out wide, and we keep crossing the ball into what feels like thin air. You know, there's no one there to meet the end of crosses. Maeda got on the end of a few glancing ones, but it wasn't much. And I don't know why we keep attempting it. I thought we looked a lot better, and I thought we were creating better chances when we took it out wide, and then we looked for a shorter pass, maybe towards the middle of the area. You know, these shorter crosses sometimes work, but when we hit it from deep areas, it feels like it's going in, and it's either going over everybody's head or it's just going straight to the opposition. We can't win the ball in the air. And I feel like we're doing that in periods of the first half repeatedly. And it was getting really, really frustrating. And that's one thing that gets on the nerves of the supporters. And you start to hear the moans and complaints around the stadium. It just felt like we're doing a lot more of that in that first half. And it wasn't really leading to an optimistic second half because of that. The other thing about the first half that was evident to me was the midfield. I thought the midfield was really, really struggling in that first half. I don't know if everybody will agree with me on this, but you know, we've seen Hatate today. I think there's no question about this, that Hatate was very much off it today. He looked knackered from start to finish. I just thought he looked really poor in this game today. Not saying that that's a reflection of him as a player or overall. you know, every player has those sort of games, but today he looked miles off it. He looked tired from the start. He didn't look like he was getting into the game. And it reminded me of that kind of way where, you know, your head's gone and you just can't get into it. And you've sort of chucked it in a sense. He just didn't look as though he could get into it. He looked annoyed at himself. His passes were misplaced. And I thought that was a theme around him and O'Reilly throughout that first half. I thought there was times where they struggled to pick the ball up and move it well. You know, they could receive it, but then when they tried to move it, it just wasn't going quite right. And it was very frustrating throughout that first half. And it was something that had to change in the second. I thought we got that when we made the substitution of Rogic. I thought he looked brilliant coming on, taking the ball, moving with it, passing it. It just brought something to the game that Hatate was lacking today. You know, I don't think it's a concern to take into future games. It happens. But it's something he'll want to put behind him and fix pronto. But that first half, it just lacked real assurance for me. And we did have to change in the second half, and luckily we did. All season we've moaned about our lack of quality from set pieces, and we managed to get a goal from a set piece for the opener. Carter Vickers, I thought he had a brilliant game today, rightfully man of the match in my eyes. Thought it was fantastic, a strong finish from him, and the finish just kind of, I think, really channeled everything that we were feeling in terms of the frustration throughout the game. He just levels it into the top corner of the net, and it gets us off a mark. And from that point, it was really no looking back. I thought we took total control, and I think that the moment we got that, we really did take a hold of the game and made it our own, and we were really strong. And you know, that was just what we needed. I think the earlier we got that goal, the better. We got it at a good time. And I think if we got it in the first half, we would have seen a stronger performance throughout the entirety of the game. However, we just had to wait to the second half. We had to bide our time. And I think here's the first thing that I think we've learned from today's game, and do the three things we learned. I think number one for me is we are going to have to be patient in these games. We're going to have to test ourselves with that, just like the team are testing themselves in the park. Sometimes I think the opening goal is what really sets the tone for Celtic, and what really brings us down to a playing level in which we seem confident, assured, and just overall brings our qualities out. I think we need to wait for that first goal sometimes. And sometimes you're playing against opposition that don't allow you to get the first goal as early as you like. And especially as we get to this business end of the season now, I think we've got, 9 league games left. We're going to see that in every single game. Teams are not going to want to ship off early goals. Celtic are going to be nervy in times, I think, as well, going forward early in the early stages of the game. And we're just going to have to bide our time. We're going to have to be patient and be patient with the team in doing that. I think that was one of the things we learned from that goal, because once we scored it, I thought we had total control. I thought we made really useful substitutions as well. In the second half, we just looked a different team, and I think that allowed us to leave the stadium very happy. Second goal as well, terrific stuff. It's good to see that from Callum McGregor. You know, I love seeing him getting a score sheet, and it's another one of those things. I love seeing McGregor higher up the park, because he allows us he allows himself to get into opportunities in areas like that where he can score goals, and I feel like we miss that sometimes when he's sitting a bit deeper. So it was good to see him in the score sheet again. You see what it means to him scoring. But once again, I think the substitutions throughout the game done a great job. All three of the early ones, Beaton, thought he looked decent when he came on. He was a little bit slow at times, but you know, he done the job he had to do from a defensive outlook. I mean, St Mirren didn't get anywhere near us. Forrest, I actually thought, you know, wasn't actually that bad. I thought he was better than what we've seen so far. Not by any means great, but certainly better, I would say. And the other substitution that we spoke about as well, the midfield one of Rogic, I thought was brilliant. And then the two later ones of Dembele and Ideguchi, I thought were decent as well. I mean, be it they barely played. So I thought game plan second half was brilliant. And ultimately, I think that's what's seen us get those 3 points. Right, let's get on to the other two things I think we learned from today's game and wrap up this match review. Number 2, Juranovic seems to be a focal point for me in everything that we do right now. And there's been, you know, a little bit of doubt in my head over the last couple of games. Not doubt about him, but he's just had a couple of poorer games, I thought, recently. But today's another example of why he should be on that right-hand side. And I understand that Tony Ralston this season has become a bit of a darling, and he deserves all the plaudits he gets for being such an improved talent at this club. He is useful, and he's going to be useful now, I think, for Celtic. However, Juranovic is a completely different player on that right-hand side. I believe there was a statistic come the end of the game that Juranovic touched the ball more in the box than Jota, Maeda and Maeda. I think I'm right in saying that today in the opposition box. He's so important moving forward. I think he dictates a lot of what we're doing. Granted, I think there still can be improvement on his final product in that area, be it crossing, be it shooting, whatever. But he does so much taking us up that park. It was outstanding again today. Another shout for the man of the match. And it's so good what he does on that right-hand side sometimes. He's so important over there for me, and I think we lose that when he's on the left. And it's nothing against Tony Ralston, it's just how good Juranovic is in his position. And I know Taylor's still got doubters, and I know, and I'm one of them, I know Taylor still isn't the finished article on that left side, and he may never be, but I don't know if it's worth sacrificing Juranovic on that right-hand side, because he seems so comfortable in what he does. Real quality from him today again, I thought. And thing number 3, I think that Maeda deserves a little bit of recognition. I think today I thought he was really good. He looked better. He's came under a lot of stick, and maybe rightfully so. He hasn't came in and been incredible. He had that great start against Hibs, and it hasn't really been the same since. A lot of people have been critical of him, but today I thought he looked a lot better. I thought his running off the ball was a lot more sensible. I thought it was a lot more useful. His pressing was really, really good. And I think that he was really unlucky in terms of, I think there's an element of our support who base everything so much on the kind of the stats of goals and assists and what they do in that front. And he's not getting a lot of goals and assists, I think, because he's a little bit unlucky. I think that what we're doing to get him the ball, I mean, you look at Jota today. Jota wasn't great today. Neither was Maeda. So he didn't have great service either side of him today. But he's doing a lot of running, getting into great areas, and I thought we were really, really hesitant today to pass the ball at the right time. We were really hesitant to play an ambitious pass when there was an opportunity, when Maeda was making a good run. And that was not his problem. He's making these runs, he's doing a lot of the work off the ball, and he's not really seeing the results of that. And he can't do much about that. So I think he deserves a bit of recognition for improving today. I thought that anyway. I know not everyone will agree, but I think that we have to be a little bit better in supplying him and doing things for him, because he's doing a lot of great work off the ball, and it's going unrecognised because the ball isn't getting to him. And then when it does get to him, it's came at the wrong time, and then he gets the blame of it, and I feel quite bad for him. But I thought he looked a bit better today. Not by any means not incredible once more, but looks better than the last couple of games, and that's important. Anyway, that'll do it. We spoke for quite a bit, so yeah, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Let me know your opinions below. Still top of the league. Hopefully it stays that way. And bring on the Tony Macaroni on Sunday. I'll see you all next time.